Hello and welcome to the first part of the Intelligent Reflecting Surfaces talk. In this first part, I will be looking at the fundamentals and the hardware architecture and the various applications. The second part will be covered by Dr. Sanjeev. There he will talk about the various testbed activities as well as the challenges and future trends. Myself, Kanashan Tyagarajan, and this is the quick outline of the talk. First, I will be considering the introduction and motivate the problem through the wireless communication, especially as an evolution of cellular communication system. Then we look at what is the hardware that is required to build one IRS. Then we look at the mathematical model for the channel, which is created by the IRS. Then we'll see how these mathematical models can be applied to create an application or use case using the IRS. So now, if you look at the wireless technology or cellular telephone technology as it is, the evolution of 2G to 5G and 6G and so on is basically at a this is motivated at every generation in different way, in the sense that the 2G is the first digital cellular communication where the primary focus was the voice call. Basically, one wanted to convey the digital voice from one user to another user through the cellular network. Now, in this whole premises, whatever the wireless channel that was observed was taken as given, nature given, and it was various effects of the channel, such as the fading or shadowing, was addressed through a couple of methods. One using higher transient power, basically covering for the fading margin, and other things like frequency planning, network planning, sectorial planning, and so on. So when it comes to 3G, the primary focus was shifting from the voice call delivery to capacity maximization. So although from the voice focus, the focus moved slightly towards the data, but still primarily voice was the main carrier, main application. But the network planning, frequency planning part was already harnessed in 2G system. And we learned on that and built on top of that for the 3G. And in order to maximize the capacity, what needs to be done is what explored. Of course, the channel effects were mitigated in this technology also by addition of other new methods by the CDMA coding, different network planning, because the near far problem got introduced because of CDMA. And successive interference cancellation is one of the popular methods used to cancel the interference. Then from 3G to 4G migration, more importance was given to higher data throughput. And although in the core network side, from circuit switch to packet switch was transitioned in 3G itself, it becomes complete in 4G, where primary focus was on the data. And now we have exploited frequency division multiple access, code division multiple access, and time division multiple access in the previous generations. So given the same bandwidth available between 3G and 4G system, the next technology or next dimension which was available for us was the space. So the spatial diversity was exploited in the 4G, and the MIMO coding and MIMO techniques became popular in 4G to maximize or increase the throughput for the given bandwidth. Of course, the interference also managed differently in the MIMO. So as you see, the focus in 2G was voice. In 3G, it was a capacity maximization. And in the 4G, it was the higher data throughput. right? So, and as we saw, or as we see in the 5G deployment worldwide, the focus is now going towards efficient utilization of the resources and the spectrum. Although we have migrated to higher bandwidth system in the FR2, if I look at sub-6 gigahertz, if you look at the bandwidth from 1.5 megahertz to 5 megahertz, 20 megahertz to 100 megahertz. So that was the migration from various generations. And in 5G, we can go from 20 megahertz to 100 megahertz in FR1 and all the way to 800 megahertz in FR2. So although the spectrum availability increases the data rate, but the efficient use of spectrum is what more stressed in 5G. And the channel effects here are mitigated by MIMO, but only the additional things got added in 5G is the massive MIMO. So the focus on 5G is on massive MIMO. From YFDM, we migrated to YFDM-A on the uplink. And at the same time, slicing of resources across the entire physical layer, MAC layer, and up to all the way to the core network. The resources were sliced to maximally utilize them, or just improve the spectral efficiency and network throughput as much as possible. Of course, there are a lot of technology which were added or which are added in the MAC layer and other higher layers. My primary focus will be mostly on the physical layer in this particular talk. So the question comes now, what is next on the 6G? So one of the thought process is that the technology will be revolving around the another dimension which we have not exploited so far is the channel. Although channel is something which is provided by the nature, we cannot control it, but it's something we can introduce a mechanism where you can actually shape the channel the way you want it to be. We are not disturbing nature, but at the same time, we are controlling the way the propagation goes. The data is transferred between the source and the destination. So with that as the prelude, I want to introduce the intelligent reflecting surfaces. Before we go in, is massive MIMO technology a reality? Although the technology got introduced about 2 decades ago, recently through the 5G standard, it has become a reality in the sense that you can see worldwide various deployments and test beds and evaluations and test runs done by various operators. The 5G, in fact, massive MIMO is indeed something which gives improvement in the throughput and coverage by using a large number of sensors. And you can see the view graph on the bottom right, where there is an 8x8 array deployed by Nokia in Brooklyn, where it is measured that 4 to 20x improvement in the sum rate is what proven. And the various test runs by multiple vendors across the world has proven that the massive MIMO indeed delivers what the theory is promising. So what's next is the question for 6G. There are a lot of options available for 6G, and which particular direction it will move is something we can't predict. But however, there are a lot of possible candidates, and IRS is one of the popular candidates in my opinion. We'll see the context in which this is true. Before we come to the IRS, let's look at the various other technologies. Pervasive AI or ML is something which will be going to be there in 6G, because in 5G already ML is introduced at the core network level and to certain extent on the RAN, cloud RAN. but it become ever pervasive, and it will be at all layers, like a RAN to core network. And we have multiple Internet of bio things, nano things, which basically means that we will carry multiple devices or wearable devices with us, like wristwatches and biosensors and so on, which all will be connected to the network. Then we have automated service decomposition, which basically next level of resource optimization, and that will be automated according to the service, depending on whether you are watching YouTube video on your mobile or attending a class online. Holographic communication is something Dr. Sanjeev will touch upon later, which is somewhat related to the IRS. And the satellite communication already become a reality through, you are already seeing Starlink and OneUp have been launching satellites and testing it throughout the world. Ambient backscatter communication is a close cousin of IRS. In fact, last year around the same time, Dr. Sanjeev gave a talk about it. We'll highlight the difference between these two technologies. Reconfigure front ends basically talks about the various optimization that you can do at the radio front end itself. And quantum communication is an evolving technology where we can use free space optics and the various quantum communication possible through the optics. And the large amount of bandwidth is a quite attractive application. And the cell-free communication, which is almost there in 5G, but in 6G, we were pervasive. What cell-free means is that the cellular boundaries will disappear. Basically, every user will have his or her own cell. And as we move along, the cell moves with him. And that is possible only when multiple base stations, they talk to each other and communicate to the same user. And of course, terahertz band communication is also one quite possible application. In the 5G, we have moved from sub 6 gigahertz to few tens of gigahertz carrier. Whether we can move to 100 gigahertz is the question. That's where the terahertz band starts. So in that context, we will be looking at ABC and IRS as one of the possible candidates. In fact, multiple candidates can be merged together in 6G, but we believe that IRS will be one of that technology, which is probably used, it will prove to be promising in 6G scenario. So now in the current approach, if you look at it, how we are solving through various technologies like massive MIMO, adaptive antennas, or adaptive beamforming, dynamic spectrum allocation, and multiple other methods in MAC and routing protocols. Each and every method or technology provides different degrees of efficiency in improving the either the data throughput or the reliability or the latency. So what we do now is we adapt to the wireless channel and we don't control it. So because of that, any randomness in the channel is going to introduce performance loss in the system. And that is something we want to address in 6G. And if you look at millimeter wave and terahertz communication, they have huge bandwidth, but limited by range, distance, due to the propagation loss. And so if you look at the ultimate barrier to achieve higher and higher capacity and low latency are a couple of things. One, ability to transmit higher power at higher frequencies, and the ability to manage the wireless environment, and the ability of the devices to work at high frequency and high powers, right? So now if you look at it, among the three things what we talked about, transmit power, device technology, and the channel. So what we think it is amenable is the channel, where we can design the wireless environment where we can control the way the transmitted signal is reflected towards the user. So that is what we are talking about, controlling the channel. How it is done? Basic reflection of electromagnetic waves. Everybody knows that when the light falls on a reflecting surface, it gets reflected, and according to Snell's law, where the incident angle is equal to the reflecting angle. So this is basic high school physics. Everyone knows about it. But what's the twist here? The twist here is that we control the reflection part. How it is possible? There is one more parameter in the Snell's law that we haven't listed here, is the refractive index. By controlling or by changing the refractive index of the reflection surface or the medium, one can determine the scattered waves angle and at the same time the intensity of scattering, intensity of reflection. That is what we want to do in intelligent reflecting surface in IRS. And this are all started with the pioneering work by David Pozar in the year 1997, that he published this microstrip reflect arrays, where he created a passive reflection array with the multiple atoms, small element, reflecting elements, where it gets fed by an active transmitter and it can create a beam towards a certain direction. What does that mean? That I am able to focus the energy in one direction by placing this reflecting surface at strategic places. And that's what started this ambient backscatter communication field, where the backscatter from a particular transmitter is used for communication. How it is done? Basically, as you see, the backscatter communication does not have dedicated transmit source, but it uses the ambient power RF available RF energy in the ambience. That is, it can use the FM radio, cellular base station, and Wi-Fi access point signals, and use that for reflecting the signal to communicate to a particular entity, right? So as you see, there are three major components. One is the ambient RF source. Other one is the transmitter or a tag. And the third one is the receiver or the reader. So that's how the ambient backscatter communication work. And I want to highlight the difference between this and IRS. I can illustrate the ambient backscatter communication through this simple animation. As you can see that there is an ambient RF source and a tag and reader, and the tag reflects the signal towards the reader only when it wants to transmit digit 1, right? So that means I'm not actively transmitting. So it means my RF, the energy needed to transmit is very little. I'm only reflecting, and I'm reflecting only when I need to transmit a 1. So very simple. So this is ideally suited for IoT kind of applications where the device wakes up, sends few bits of data, and goes back to sleep. So it hardly uses energy and the battery lasts long. So what are the pros and cons in this approach? So one, the pros that we don't need a dedicated RF transmitter energy source. So you consume little power. And since it is a small reflector, it is very low power in nature and it is cheap in cost. So what is the counter side? The challenges are that the ambient signal is unpredictable and dynamic. The Wi-Fi signal or the FM transmitter signal can be attenuated or blocked or shadowed by someone. And so because of that, it's very difficult to achieve a stable or consistent performance. And there is also a direct link, possible direct link between the source and the destination. As shown in the previous illustration, there is a direct path between the source and the reader that can interfere with the reflection from the tag. So I need to handle that. And so the other problem is that it is the signal is received by everyone in the reflection path. So it can be picked up by unintended users as well. So there is a security issue here. So in these aspects, I would like to highlight that IRS is different. So what are the applications of ABC? As I mentioned, a simple IoT device or wearable health monitoring devices in hospitals where the environment is controlled. And but the disadvantage, as mentioned, it is not smart enough to control the who will receive the who will receive the information, and it's very low in spectral efficiency, and there is a potential interference that can affect the performance from other transmitters. So now, how are we different? The IRS, on the other hand, is able to control the angle of reflection, as I explained earlier. So I have an IRS surface where there are thousands of elements. Each atom can be controlled independently by an IRS controller. So all that what we do is that the RF transmitter's energy is reflected towards the receiver only when required. So that's the key change, key difference. And the IRS has been known in different names like reconfigurable intelligent surface, intelligent wall, smart reflector array, and so on. So now, how are we doing that? Is now one difference between ABC and IRS is we have gone from passive reflection to active reflection, in the sense that we are able to control the amount of reflection and the direction of reflection by controlling the refractive index. And that is done through specially made metamaterials where one can control them dynamically. And this allows us to control the direction and the performance. So how it is done? So consider this IRS where there are on the front patch, there are a lot of elements, and then they are connected to the control board where each element can be controlled. And what control board does is it switches on certain passives or it changes the EM energy such a way that the reflection from that particular element is controlled. So now, because of this is passive, the cost is very low, and it can be mounted on large planar surfaces. So I can put thousands, even 100,000 elements in an area where especially when you're operating at very high frequencies. So it consumes very little energy because I'm only spending small energy in changing the impedances for each element. And I can actually do a 3D beamforming, or even multiple beams can be generated with this one by controlling different elements in a different direction or focusing at different elements in different direction. So how it is done, we'll see the mathematical model for that. So this is the one element where Xn is the ray which is incident on that element, and Yn is the reflected ray. As we saw that we are able to control the amplitude of reflection and the angle phase, right? And when the beta n is 0, that means I'm completely absorbing it. And when beta n is 1, fully reflected, and I can change the direction by controlling the theta n. Such a continuous variation or control is very difficult in practice. So we discretize that and into certain number of bits. Basically, I can control angle with certain precision and amplitude with another precision. So this is what done in IRS through the elements. Now, when we have multiple elements, the overall channel model looks like this. Basically, I have a transmitter X at a distance d1n from the surface, and the receiver Y at another distance d2n from the surface. Now, the path loss between the transmitter to the receiver for each element is Hn and Gn respectively. The path loss is a regular path loss model where the alpha 1, alpha 2 are the path loss exponents, according to the environment, be indoor or outdoor and so on, right? And now, if you see, if I put together the sum effect of all the elements, I get this equation y, where which is the sum of hn gn beta n e power j theta n. And this whole sum is what is affecting the incident signal x. And of course, there is a receiver noise w at y. So this is the overall channel model for the IRS. So given this channel model, so let us see how this can be used for in the application that we talked about earlier, right? There are two different channel models prevalent in the literature, but it was proven that the product model is more relevant than the sum model. So I will be talking about the product model in the other slides, further coming slides. So let us look at an application. So I have a transmitter, an IRS and its controller, and the user. So let's say I have a direct path between the user and the transmitter. And suppose if this path is blocked by someone, or this become weak due to fading or shadowing. So that information was created or generated to IRS controller, which knows the position location of user 1 and the transmitter. So it can calculate the angle at which that ray has to be reflected. And so it programs its elements such a way that the user 1 gets a reflected signal. So now I have two different paths through which I can create a constructive interference or destructive interference, depending on what I want to do. Suppose if user 1 fails his authentication, then I can create a destructive interference towards him. And so now I can create the signal wherever the user is moving. So that way I am avoiding the dead zone problem, what we have especially in indoor for the wireless Wi-Fi signal or the mobile signal, right? So I can give one example where, let's say this transmitter is the wireless access point on the corridor, and the user 1 is sitting inside his cabin where the signal is weak. What I can do is I can put the IRS on one of the walls in the corridor, such a way that it is able to focus energy towards a signal in the cabin where user 1 is present. So let's say now user 2 is coming into picture, where now I want to give more importance to user 2 because maybe he's a high tier paying customer. So I give more focus my energy towards user 2, but not in user 1. Or user 2 has passed the authentication and the user 1 has failed the authentication. So like that, we can provide physical air security, we can provide dead zone coverage, and we can create hotspot wherever we want to create, if we place the IRS at strategic places. So that is the key application one can do in an indoor scenario. And the same thing possible in a cellular network as well. So let's say in a region, we have multiple base stations installed, they are the blue dots. And in every cell, we can go and install IRS at multiple strategic places. For example, when you are driving through the outer ring road, you can place these IRS at various tall buildings, and all these IRS controllers are connected to the base station. And depending on where the user is or where there is a more concentration of users, the IRS can be programmed to provide signals to improve the coverage, quality, as well as security. So such a hybrid network will be very key in the next generation cellular, especially when there is a dense population. We don't want to put too many base stations and increase the infrastructure cost. But we can deploy IRS because it's a slow cost, and we can deploy it many places, and that can be efficiently utilized for improving the cell coverage. So that's all I have in this first part. And these are the various references that we have cited in this work, in this presentation. And the next part, Sanjeev will cover the other aspects, what I talked about. And please type your questions. And now and then we'll take up, answer all these questions in the end. And we'll flash these references again in the end. Thank you for listening.